What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the September 1st edition of LvLUp Live, as OBS is not cooperating with me once again, but this is still your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. There we go, Joey. OBS is now working with me. Look at that. My name is Fiasco, aka the guy who can't get OBS to work properly here on Twitch. You can call me John. And I'm joined by the king of the courtside king. You can call him Joey. What's up, buddy?
Doing well. Just trying to get these last minute tweets out. Guys, it's been crazy. Those joining us live, thanks for joining us live tonight. Again, it is another day change. We changed it last week because of Gamescom, changing it this week because of travel. But John, eventually we will be back to our normal Thursday time slot. But again, thanks for being flexible with us, guys.
Bro, I don't even know what normal is anymore. Like,
it feels like it, doesn't it?
I don't even understand what life is. Like, it's just all confusion and whatnot at the moment. It's just so it's so weird. But Joey, you want to know what's not weird? It's not weird to follow this show on social media. It's only weird if you don't follow the show on social media. And you can follow LvLUp Live on Facebook and Twitter. That is at LvLUp Live. And while you are on Twitter, Joey and I are there as well. Feel free to give us a follow. We'll tweet out random stuff, gaming, esports, sports, just all around shenanigans from time to time. It's a good follow. Joey will tease his sources. Well, he won't tell you the sources, but he'll give you teases that will eventually make it on to LvLUp Live. So if you want to know it when Joey knows it, definitely give him a follow as well. And Nation, as always, the best place to experience LvLUp Live is here on Twitch. But if you can't catch the live show here on normally Thursday nights, we do have a podcast version called the LvLUp Podcast. It's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, and pretty much anywhere else you can find an RSS feed for podcasts. So definitely check that out. And just one favor to ask you, if you are listening to the podcast version, please do leave us a review and a rating if your podcatcher allows you to. Those do go a long way, not only giving us the feedback that we need to make sure the show is what you, our listeners and viewers, want, but also helps grow and expand and reach new listeners. So we do appreciate if you do take a moment out of your day to do that. And then if you really, really, really want to support us, guess what? We have a Patreon going on too. Patreon.com/OTN. We have some really cool supporter tiers there as well. We are in the process of redoing some of them, so we have a lot of really cool and exciting things that we're going to start offering our Patreons there as well. Definitely check that out if you do wish to support OTN and what we do here on LvLUp Live and our other shows like Game On DC and a lot of our other community endeavors. Patreon.com/OTN. All right, Joey, we're changing days, but it doesn't mean we don't have a lot of topics. We have a lot of things to cover. What are we talking about today? On the 1st of September, Joey, we made it out of August. Hopefully this heat wave goes away. What are we talking about today?
John, we have a heat wave of esports and gaming news today. Quite a bit coming in here. YouTube Gaming making some moves, signing some big content creators. Then from there, we're going to dive into some acquisitions and partnerships going on throughout the industry. And we're going to take a little bit of a dive into some projected stuff for cloud gaming, get a little bit into the financials, but not too deep to keep things moving. Diving a little bit into some fun gaming news as well. From a new map coming to Valorant, Halo MCC Season 8 getting some sick content, Bethesda Games giving us another look at Starfield. Really excited to dive into that one. Elden Ring news, DC Fandome, and so much more.
All right, so tons of topics, Joe. Before we can even dive into the show, I do have to ask you, I feel like I ask you every time we do this show. I wonder why, because it's a segment. It's called Drink of Choice, Joey. Your beverage for today's episode.
Honestly, nothing super exciting, but I do have a little bit of a berry blast going on here. Some acai, blueberry, and pomegranate in a vitamin water.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah,
actually.
trying to get refreshed, you know? Just
that one's good.
Hit those refresh rate.
That one gets the thumbs up from Joey and John. That's actually my favorite vitamin water flavor.
Oh.
So good job, Joey.
That's exactly the reason I picked it tonight. I knew
totally.
it was just going to hit your heartstrings.
You absolutely knew it. Joey, I'm just going away for the weekend. I'll be back. You don't have to miss me that much. Joey, I was telling OTN community member Tater Tots, a.k.a. Tots, a.k.a. Braden, in the chat before we joined on, I ventured to our local grocery store by my house today and discovered that Mountain Dew has blessed me with 4 cases of Mountain Dew Baja Blast, 0 sugar edition. So Joey, I stocked up. I sold out. I got every single case I had to offer. Again, only 4 cases, so I don't feel like I went too overboard. It was 3 for like $9, so I was like, whatever, I'll just take the 4th one. So Mountain Dew Zero Baja Blast. Joey, it is delicious in a can, and I love it. It's great.
Blasted the chance of any of those other customers getting a chance at it as well from the sound of things.
Look, it's not my fault they just didn't time it right. Anywho. All right, Nation, before we start, a little bit of a serious note here. Joey, myself, everyone at OTN, and here at the LvLUp Podcast, we are big supporters of the ongoing mental health movement, helping normalize the conversation in regards to mental health. September is a big month in the world of mental health awareness. It is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And one of the organizations we do support quite a bit, not officially through OTN, but unofficially, it's an organization that I've worked with volunteer-wise for several years now. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is a real big proponent here in Suicide Prevention Month. It's World Suicide Prevention Month. So we do have just a little blurb here from them just for a way that potentially you can support a friend, a loved one who may be going through a mental health challenge at that moment. The signs to look for, how to have a conversation with that person. Maybe you yourself are struggling with some issues as well. This is for everyone to help find the right people to talk to ensure that we all get through those tough days that we face from time to time. So September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Together we can help stop suicide. It's important to know how to talk about suicide and connect ourselves and our loved ones to help if we ever need it. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention invites you to join an inspiring all-day virtual event filled with conversation, entertainment, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live. That is at AFSP National. They do have a Twitter, Instagram there as well. You can probably find the links there as well. But again, definitely check them out. It's an absolutely great organization. A lot of really great volunteers who do care, who are there to listen as well. Again, that's afsp.com/NSPW for the direct links for everything happening this month for that great and wonderful organization. All right, Joey, I am ready. We have a fantastic show ready to go here for LvLUp Nation. Let's dive into it. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely, guys. We're going to try our best to keep this right around an hour this week. So we're going to be moving, but we got a lot to cover. Kicking things off, John, industry acquisitions and departures. This would be more of an acquisition / partnership / hey, I'm going to buy you out completely. YouTube Gaming has signed Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman to exclusive streaming contracts, prying them away from Twitch. We've seen this before. We saw it with Mixer. Now, Mixer came in, Microsoft owned. They had a very small, really, market share overall. I think it was like 2%. And they went out and bought Ninja. Huge move. Giant, brought waves throughout the industry. They bought Shroud. So they signed these big name streamers to huge contracts. At the time, I think Shroud and Ninja were both top 3 on Twitch. So it was big. And it brought some people to Mixer, sure. And Mixer did its thing. I think it hit like 5% at most. But then it ended up dying out. Now we see YouTube coming in, though. YouTube with a much bigger base. I think they're somewhere around 35% of the market share. And they have a huge video service. Everyone uses YouTube. The younger generation, especially, turning more to YouTube videos as we go each day. This is a big move. They're bringing 2 huge streamers, 2 of the biggest ones from Twitch. My issue, John, and it's always been my issue with YouTube Gaming, is 1, I don't feel like their mobile application is very great for this type of thing. And 2, the other issue I have is just it's not a very friendly site at the moment. Like, sure, it's great to watch videos on, and I love the idea of going to YouTube for YouTube videos. But the live streaming component, like the discoverability, I feel like is tough. Now, Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman, they're obviously coming over. They have giant audiences to begin with. Some of those people will move over with them to YouTube. Other ones will maybe choose a stream here and there. But in the end, they still have a giant audience behind them. For a new streamer, someone who's just kind of jumping into the industry in a sense, I feel like starting on YouTube makes it very tough to be discovered.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things that one of the people that we support quite a bit in the esports industry, Jacob Wolf, tweeted about here as well today, is the fact that what makes Twitch so great is just, 1, how user-friendly it really is. If you're a viewer and you go to Twitch, you know, you can go to browse, and guess what? You will see every game ever being streamed on there. It's super easy to find your favorite games, your favorite streamers. It is so funneled, if you will, for your viewer experience, for what you want to watch when you come to Twitch. The problem with YouTube, like you said, Joey, is the fact that it's mainly not a live stream site. It is a recorded content site. It is a vlog site. It is a infomercial site, if you will, or an instructional site. I mean, I still go there to figure out how to do certain things from time to time. I feel like that's very millennial of us. So, you know, when you think YouTube, you don't think YouTube gaming. Now, what does YouTube have that Twitch doesn't? I would argue they have a better streaming service. The video quality is a lot better. Obviously, they've been in the video business a lot longer. They've kind of figured that out, their algorithm out and everything too. What I don't like is I don't like the video latency in between, you know, live content and when it goes out over YouTube. There's almost like a 25-second to 30-second delay, which I think is super long and very difficult for streamers to interact with their chat. Now, obviously, if you're a partner, then that latency is probably cut down quite a bit. But, you know, that's going to be an issue. Discoverability, like you said, it's hard to find YouTube gaming. You have to know specifically who you're looking for. And if you don't know who you're looking for, like you said, Joe, if you're brand new, it's almost impossible to be recognized without having recorded video content there to support you, to help people find your page when you go live. So I feel like, yeah, it's a big blow to Twitch, but not big enough to really force their hand to do anything.
Yeah, I don't think this will affect Twitch at all, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, if you're going to move someone like Ninja, who is arguably by far the biggest streamer at the time, over to Mixer, and it still didn't really have an impact. Like, again, sure, YouTube has a better footing than Mixer ever did. At the same point, it's still different. Those videos being on there statically, I think, is one thing. I think I just made up a word too. But the availability to just click on a video anytime is one thing. The availability of live streams on YouTube is just something completely different. So I think it's a good move for Dr. Lupo and for Tim the Tapman. They're obviously going to have a nice payday coming through. Moves like this are not made without very big money figures behind them. But with that being said, I don't see a mass exodus from Twitch from this either.
Yeah.
Over to some other partnerships and investments. Jesse Lingard, I believe over with Man United, has acquired UK Rainbow Six team Audacity Esports. I'll be honest, guys, I don't know much at all about Audacity Esports. We use an audio program called Audacity. That's about as much as I know about that. With that being said, I think the prominent thing to mention here is that, once again, we do have someone heavily involved in the sports world making another big investment into esports.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the big story here, is that athletes, popular athletes even, whenever they make a splash into esports, they bring that clout with them. They bring their supporters with them. It gets so much exposure almost instantly. Same thing when a big Hollywood celebrity dives into esports as well. Their fan base follows. And we see that in esports as well. Like when a player moves from team to team, fans follow that player. So same thing here. It's always great when big names in the sports or entertainment world jump into esports, because it's just so much more exposure that the industry gets.
Absolutely. So we'll keep covering those for you guys here on the show as more and more come readily available as esports continues to grow. Next up in partnerships and investments, we have TikTok's parent company getting involved, John, and it is not a dance video. It's actually a VR headset maker that they are acquiring in Pico.
Oh.
Neither one of us has really jumped much into VR. We've played a little bit here and there, but in the end, neither one of us has invested into a VR headset yet. With that being said, it seems to be, I'm going to say, a trend that's slowly catching on. Certain makers are like, maybe it'll eventually get there. Other ones are really diving into it. We've seen Sony put a lot of money into VR, and then they ended up getting rid of 3 VR studios, but now they're making another VR set. So I think certain electronic companies are still trying to decide when VR is going to catch on and what it's going to look like. With that being said, TikTok continuing to invest more and more into gaming, and this is another big move in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Squirkle's right on it. Now you can film TikTok dances in VR. I think that is a very, very valid point. And also, Squirkle, again, a big, big thank you. 33 months of supporting LvLUp Live and OTN Media here on Twitch. Also one of our Patreon supporters as well. A big, big thank you As always, thank you for your continued support, and thanks for tuning in and watching, as always, as we ramble on about VR and TikTok, because that is exactly what the Zoomers want to hear about.
Zoomers, TikTok. Let's jump back into some other investments, John. So we talked about Jesse Lingard. We talked a little bit about football for the European, soccer for us dirty Americans over here. But Xbox, they have decided to make a little bit of an investment in that area as well. Xbox is now the official gaming partner of English football teams / soccer for those American fans. The English men's team, English women's team, the E-Lions, their esports team, Wembley Stadium, and St. George's Park, the academy / training facility. It looks like they're under 21, under 17 type of teams. What are your thoughts on this partnership, John? Do you see this as a good move for both sides? Do you see this as a move where a lot of money is being exchanged, but not much is going to come out of it? What are your thoughts?
I like it. We have esport leagues backed by like MLS and other professional football leagues around the world. And like using MLS for an example, I know it's a terrible example because, I'm not going to go into it. MLS partners with PlayStation as their official console. So it makes complete sense that a football federation like England would support this as well. Makes complete sense to me. The EPL is one of the largest leagues in the entire world. It has so much international pull to it. And I think this is a really big deal for Xbox because outside of North America, that's where Xbox really tends to struggle. And I think Europe would be a great place to help expand Xbox and maybe push that popularity to take on PlayStation, which internationally does a lot better than it does in North America. So I think this is a great deal for Xbox. It will give them tons and tons of exposure. And yes, if you're sitting at home or you're listening wherever and you think, oh, what would an Xbox billboard actually do? You would be surprised the amount of people that actually buy things or even consider buying something based upon an official sponsorship with something that they identify with. That's one of the powers of sports, and we see it in esports too. You build like your own personal identity through a team, through an esports organization. So like for me, being a Cloud9 fan, when they were partnered with Logitech, that made me more excited that I own Logitech. When they no longer are sponsored by Logitech for their perifs and they went to HyperX, and I was like, oh, I'm in the market for a new keyboard. I'm going to check out what HyperX has to offer for a keyboard. I don't know much about them, but if Cloud9 uses them, then I will at least give them a shot. Obviously, I still stuck with Logitech, but that's the thing is I still gave them a shot that I normally wouldn't have given them if it wasn't for that connection with Cloud9. That's what Xbox is trying to do here with this partnership. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same route. Like if you look at where Xbox is growing, Japan is one of those markets, but another big market is over in EU and particularly the United Kingdom, like English areas. So the fact that we're seeing them go with this, they're trying to capitalize on where their market is already growing. Very similar to what you said. Now you're showing that logo more. People are going to have more brand familiarity. The other thing to look at is Sony. I mean, this is almost a playbook out of Sony's book. Sony has sponsored a ton of big events. Like the Champions League final the last couple of years, I think was PlayStation sponsored. You look at a number of teams, they'll run the PlayStation logo. I think just about, I want to say every single one at the moment of all the esports leagues are all Sony based as well. Either it's being played on a PlayStation or PlayStation's logo is displayed. They're really heavy into the sports market. Now, Xbox has done it before. I think it was like the Seattle Sounders back in the early 2000s had an Xbox logo on it. The big difference here, John, is a international team or even just a European team in general probably has more eyes on it in maybe 2 or 3 games than the Sounders have on them all season long. So I do like I do like the idea of them moving overseas with this. I think it's a good move. Soccer's a huge sport. The English team's going to get a lot of eyes on it. I think it's a great move.
Joey, I am just flabbergasted that you're sitting here telling me that one team in England gets more attention than the Seattle Sounders of Major League Soccer. That just I'm struggling.
I'm just saying, I think it could be a possibility. But yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. Now, international teams don't play as often. That's one thing to keep in mind on. But I feel like a lot of other events are held at Wembley as well. So that's still going to be one that you're seeing a lot, whether it's from the street, whether it's concerts or whatever you end up attending there. I feel like Wembley is quite well used. Okay, this next one is kind of a head scratcher. We've had these in the past. We've had quite a few of these in the past. This is another one for me. PUBG Mobile has announced upcoming collaborations with Jujutsu Kaisen, Alan Wake, and it says Alan Walker, but I believe it's actually Alan Wake, and Zaha Hadid Architects. Again, very unique. PUBG Mobile has done these interactions in the past where they've had some crossovers here and there, but you're going with an anime. And again, I think this is Alan Wake. I got to double check on it. But that's like a Remedy title that had a heavy US-based audience, but really didn't do too well internationally. And then, yeah, an architect. Like, I don't really understand the point of this. Like, I get it. You're going to hit a few different groups by doing this. But at the same point, like, I don't really see how this fits into PUBG too well.
Look, full disclosure, I love me some Jujutsu Kaisen. I
do too, but how do you fit that into PUBG?
Look, that's besides the point. PUBG will get talked about because of this partnership or collaboration with Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think this brings anybody back to the game. I don't think this really does anything other than the fact that people are going to talk about it. I mean, we're talking about it because of this. I mean, it's a very odd collab with these three entities. I mean, I may catch a stream just to see what it's about, but it's not going to make me want to download it. It's not going to make me want to play it. I mean, I would rather go watch the anime because it gives me more joy than PUBG does.
And that's about that, to be honest. I mean, with that being said, PUBG Mobile is big over in Asia, especially India. It has a huge base in India. Maybe they're big Jujutsu Kaisen fans as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see this as the biggest of partnerships. I'd be curious to see what each party ended up agreeing on with this. But with that being said, if you like PUBG Mobile, you're getting new content and you get quite a bit of variety coming your way. Last but not least, in partnerships and investments, we have Esports org T1 partnering with John's favorite peripheral company, Razer. As part of the deal, Razer will work with League of Legends star Faker to design a line of co-branded products that, according to John, will probably break about a month later after you purchase them.
I usually say 3 months, but yeah, that's probably
excuse me.
So what I'm hoping is if Faker is going to put his name on a brand line here, that he's going to hold them to higher construction standards. So your mouse doesn't break after 800 clicks, which is roughly 0.5 game of League of Legends. So hopefully Razer's products don't fall apart on you when you buy the Faker line of it, because then you'll be mad at Razer and you'll be mad at Faker, and we all love Faker.
He is not a faker. He gets the job done. He's done it year and year again. Again, congratulations to Faker also for qualifying for Worlds. I don't think his Razer mouse will be ready in time, but who knows? It's a couple months away. Maybe they get the job done, and hopefully it'll last all the Worlds and he doesn't have to have it replaced like John expects him to.
0.5 game.
0.5 game. Next up in the news, according to our good old buddy Jacob Wolf of Esports, the Dallas Empire are in talks to acquire the Optic brand and put their Chicago Call of Duty slot up for sale. It also sounds like the Paris slot will be going up for sale as well. Looking at if this massive move takes place, in a sense, the Empire and Optic coming together, your roster could potentially be Scump, Dashy, Shotzi, and Illy, which would be a very high-powered roster. At the same time, John, this is one of those things we've talked about the Overwatch League before. We've talked about it even in League of Legends with the LEC and LCS, where these big dollar spots are being moved around in the new franchise era. This is the potential of Chicago being opened up as well as Paris. And that's another two big slots that cost quite a bit of money and being opened up pretty early on.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of curious as to what those spots would actually sell for. Where, the economy in the world, the global economy is still struggling post-pandemic. In some countries, the pandemic 2.0. So, it's going to be interesting. I don't see a lot of buyers. And this is definitely not the time you want to sell. It's not like the housing market here in the DC area where you get 80 million bids for your house before it's even on the market. We're talking, a spot that's probably going to sell for around 20 to 30 million dollars, or that's how much they bought it for. But I don't see anyone paying that much money right now for those spots. I feel like these teams are going to have a very hard time selling their spots in the current global situation. I don't think this is the right time to do it.
And I've said it before, and I'll just say it briefly again. I like the Call of Duty League, but it's also one of those leagues that I feel like it has a lot of questions still to be answered. One of the biggest issues for me is that they switch over title year over year. So some people might like that Modern Warfare feel, and then you go over to World War II. Maybe the same viewers don't like that appeal, or maybe a player doesn't perform as well in the new title. So then they ended up kind of cutting a connection with their fan base a little bit. So there's so many question marks with the way Call of Duty operates. I like the idea of the title. It sells a ton year over year. I wish they would vary things up a little bit more here and there. But with that being said, for esports, I think that does offer a few more factors that we really haven't had answered just yet in the scene. And this is going to be one of those questions, especially for new owners as they look to potentially make this investment into a team. Cloud gaming. We've talked about it before as well. This is big news, though. Newzoo has come out and recently gave some projections on cloud gaming. And as we've been telling you for over a year now, if you've listened to the LvLUp podcast, cloud gaming is going to be big, ladies and gentlemen. The market cap forecast, looking back, let's take our lens back to 2019, pre-COVID. There was $152 million generated from cloud gaming. Okay, that's decent. Nothing crazy in the terms of gaming, even just in entertainment as a whole. 2020, COVID happens and stuff starts to increase. More people are looking online for engagements. More gamers are out there, and cloud makes that more accessible. So you're up to 669 million, looking good. Now that we're starting to slow down a little bit, the pandemic, things are opening back up. Video game sales they're going back down in certain areas and up in others. We're looking at a projection of 1.5 billion by the end of 2021. So what does this mean moving forward? Eventually, we're hopefully going to move past COVID. Whether it returns like the flu every year is a question that we still haven't really had answered, but they went ahead and did a projection either way. Based on the growth right now and what they're projecting, they're saying cloud gaming will bring in $6.5 billion. So that's a $5 billion increase over the next 3 years by 2024. They're estimating a total of 23.7 million paying users by the end of 2021 and forecasting 3% of the $200 billion global gaming industry will be cloud-driven by 2024. It's something that I don't know if you've really experienced too much, John. I've started to play a little bit more on cloud gaming. There's still a little bit of latency here and there, and that is an issue, especially in multiplayer games. Like if you're going to jump into like a Halo or a Call of Duty, anything really that has like those pinpoint mechanics where you need to be aiming at something, it does become a little bit more of a difficult situation. But platformers, I think it feels great on. Roguelike games, anything like that, it feels almost natural at this point. And I think it's going to get better over time. But it is incredible just to see how much money it's already bringing in and what those projections do look like a few years down the road.
Yeah, I haven't really dabbled too much in cloud gaming, but I would imagine your single player games, it would be very welcomed, especially the fact that Sony and Microsoft still refuses to give more than 1 terabyte in their premium line of console. Give me 10. Just do it. Anywho, yeah, cloud gaming is great when it comes to that. Yeah, there are still a lot of concerns when it comes to multiplayer. I would imagine if you're a competitive multiplayer kind of gamer, you wouldn't be using the cloud-based service to begin with. So this would be more of your casual multiplayers out there that would accept whatever input lag there might be. But I mean, it's going to be big. I think it's going to be bigger for the mobile market. Possibly those game titles where you can play on your computer, you can play on your console, or you can play on your mobile device. Just being able to be around it through the cloud service would be great. Other than that, I mean, I feel like for the hardcore gamer, cloud gaming may not be the answer for them, but it would definitely be something that they would be interested in for their non-competitive style game.
Absolutely. So definitely look forward to that, guys. One thing, if you haven't tested it, it's pretty affordable to test. Microsoft xCloud, you can get out there with a Game Pass subscription for like $15. Google Stadia, it runs really well, but I don't know if I'd recommend investing in Stadia at this point. You have Amazon Luna out there that's cloud-based. You have NVIDIA GeForce Now. So lots of different options. Go ahead and give it a try if you haven't yet. Next up in the tech world, Jack, get ready for this one because it's returning. Google and Apple back in the news. This time, they are being forced to open their app stores up to alternative payment systems. Sadly, not here in North America, but it has been ruled that way over in South Korea. So that is the beginning of what could be a very interesting turmoil for both big tech companies. And it could set up an interesting precedent with both. They're already under scrutiny with the EU. They've been under scrutiny here in North America. We obviously had the big thing we talked about earlier this year between Epic and Apple for longtime listeners. That was a huge thing. I felt like it was a topic for us, John, for like 3 or 4 weeks. And it's going to come back up again eventually. And this is one of those things that could prod it to come back in the news even sooner, as the developer will have to change up their ecosystem a bit with this being done in South Korea. And again, setting that precedent now for something that could change globally.
First South Korea, second will be China, then North America, then Europe. I think this is just how it starts. South Korea, for those who may not know, have very, very strict internet laws. You cannot get access to the internet unless you are a citizen, a legal alien with a proper visa, and everything is tied to your phone and your phone number, which is also issued in a very unique, specific way, almost kind of like how social security numbers are issued here in the United States. So it is very strict on how things work. I think this is a smart move. This is essentially Apple saying, hey, look, we recognize, South Korea as a very important player in our market. We cannot afford to lose what the users in South Korea offer. And as soon as it happens in South Korea, China's going to be next. Maybe Japan will follow in there sometime sooner or later. But once China forces Apple to do this, then that's when the floodgates really open, with a lot of the trade agreements and everything they have with the US. I feels like it's just a matter of time. Once China forces them to do it, then they'll find a way to force Apple and Google to do it here in North America. And then once that happens, that really makes it easy for Europe to do it as well. So I feel like that's going to be the chain of events here.
Yeah, and it's very possible. And Europe was already questioning a lot of the practices back with that Apple and Epic case. This is another thing that, again, can prod that to come back up. It'll be interesting to watch. We'll keep an eye on it for you guys. For now, though, this is a big change coming to South Korea that could end up getting rolled out globally as we go on. Gamescom opening night, we talked about it last Wednesday, talking about just briefly here again to talk about some of the numbers. They pulled in record numbers once again. Keeley doing magical work. Viewership was up 30% year over year with more than 2 million peak concurrent viewers. Just shy of what LvLUp brings weekly, and then also up 25% in the increasing co-streaming trend. This is something we've done a lot, John. It's been a pleasure to do. We did it for the Game Awards. We did it for the it was the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. We did it for Opening Night Live back in E3 time. So co-streaming becoming more of a thing and becoming welcomed by a lot more bodies because they're realizing they can hit these pre-made audiences, and it's a nice way to continue to expand their industry reach. And it's working again here, and Jeff Keighley gets the job done again. 30% year over year, a huge increase there. I expect the Game Awards to probably show a pretty significant increase this year as well. Just to quickly hit on this one, NetEase is in final negotiations to poach Yakuza and Monkey Ball creator Toshihiro from Sega, and this is according to a report coming out of Bloomberg. I am super bummed about this. I'm not the biggest Super Monkey Ball fan. I've played a little bit here and there, but the Yakuza series coming over to Game Pass, just getting introduced to that recently. I've kind of fallen in love with that series with the bit I've been able to play so far. And it's a huge seller for Sega. I mean, this is a game that has done very well in Japan, has sold many times every time a new copy comes out. Now it's grown really through Game Pass, a huge audience over here in North America. And it's just continuing to grow. You see numbers, engagement numbers up and up week over week. And this is big. They're going to rip the creator right out of Sega over to NetEase. Another big poaching move, whether it be an acquisition, whether it be a talent acquisition, this one being that talent acquisition of a Chinese company jumping into another big creative space. And they just continue to do this, John. The Chinese industry, really, if you look at Tencent, you look at Alibaba, they know how valuable gaming is right now, and they're willing to put the money where their mouth is, and they continue to do it time and time again, this time landing a really big creator potentially.
Yeah, this sucks for Sega. Sega's heyday was in the 90s, it feels like. And then from there, it just spiraled out of control. The Dreamcast was a dud and a half. I don't care what anybody says. It is the only controller worse than the original Xbox controller, aka the Duke. It was just god awful. People were like, oh, it was ahead of its time. No, it wasn't. It was garbage. I will fight you. And then from there, Sega just kind of fell off the side. Like, they got overshadowed by a lot of different other developers. And then when you get something like a Yakuza and a Monkey Ball coming out, Yeah, Score goes, you want to fight? Yeah, I'll throw down Score. Actually, let's go. Absolutely.
I didn't realize we had big Sega controller fans in chat tonight.
I didn't realize Dreamcast still had fans. Monkey Ball 1v1. I'm not saying Monkey Ball is bad. Like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying for Sega, this is awful because I feel like Sega is in constant catch-up mode. Like, they're always playing second fiddle and sometimes third fiddle to a lot of other developers. I mean, Nintendo is just an absolute powerhouse to try to overcome. I mean, when we all think Sega, what do we think? Sonic. What else do we really think about? Yeah, your hardcore gamers are going to say a Yakuza or
Persona
or Monkey Ball
one.
or Persona, stuff like that. But the average gamer out there, the average person thinks Sega, they think Sonic the Hedgehog. When you think Nintendo, you think Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Princess Peach, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Super Smash Bros. There's things that rattle right off the top of your head just because of how big and successful Nintendo's been. Sega has been completely overshadowed. This is another hit to Sega more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's a huge hit to Sega. I think it's a big hit to Sega. I think it's a big hit really to Yakuza and Monkey Ball fans. Now, these series have been around for a while, and losing the creator is going to be big. Sure, you're going to have some people that can step up who've worked with him year over year, that kind of know the style of the game, that know the genre, and I'm sure the franchises will be fine, but that is still a giant talent. That to me is like, I'm going to say Double Fine losing Tim Schafer. Like, someone that crazy with that amazing mind that has done Psychonauts and Grim Fandango and all these like well-renowned games. It's similar of an approach over here in Japan where we have the creator of these franchises, Yakuza and Monkey Ball and other franchises, now potentially moving on to a Chinese company in NetEase. And again, guys, people are sleeping on these Chinese companies making investments, and this is just another big one coming through that's going to shake up the industry.
This is coming from Joey, who is heavily invested in Tencent.
I am not heavily invested.
So he knows exactly what he's... Joey, you have your entire life savings in your Chinese overlord Tencent. It's completely fine. We get it.
I do heavily invest my time into paying attention to Tencent. That is definitely true. Speaking of Chinese gaming in general, this is something that time is a very big factor. Speaking of gaming in China, the Chinese government has recently slashed the amount of time players under the age of 18 can spend on online games to an hour of gameplay on Fridays, weekends, and holidays in response to gaming addiction. They'll only be able to play between the hours of 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. local time on those days. So it's not, hey, John, you're under the age of 18. You get 1 hour of game time on Fridays. It is like, hey, John, you get 1 hour of game time between 8 and 9. If you're available, you can play it. If not, you're locked off. It was previously 3 hours on holidays and 1.5 hours on other days of the week. John, break it down. What does this mean for gamers over in China?
Okay, so Joey, you told me before we started the show not to take too much time on this topic. I'm going to do my best. Okay. Congratulations, China. You're shooting yourself in your foot. One of your biggest ways you have made money in the past 10 years is through esports. The viewership, the marketing that comes with it, the amount of censorship you place on all of your citizens when it comes to the internet so they can only see Chinese companies or sponsors or everything else. And now you're going to limit the next generation of potential esport athletes time on the internet because the World Health Organization, run by a bunch of boomers, can't understand why people would rather play a video game versus go outside and throw a football. Now, I'm not saying physical exercise or physical play is not necessary, but at the same time, we all have a personality, believe it or not. We're all unique individuals that have different wants, needs, and interests in life. And for any government, Chinese government or not, to come out and place a limit for underage kids to be on the internet because they don't like them playing video games, one, personal opinion here, doesn't represent the show or anything, not the role of the government. I'm sorry. If the government is regulating your access to the internet, not the role of the government. Two, it's the job of the parent. I'm sorry. If you are a parent and you have a child and you don't want them playing 18 hours on their Xbox, guess what? There's parental controls. You don't want them on the computer for more than 2 hours a day. Hey, you want to know something? Back in the 90s, AOL had parent timers. parental timers. It's not a new technology. It's been around since the age of the internet. It's very easy to do. Stop passing the buck on everyone else and forcing governments to step into combat internet addiction because you don't want a parent. This should be a parent's responsibility, not the government's responsibility. Shame on the Chinese government. Sorry, Joey, there goes your 10-cent endorsement. And and I'm sorry if you're a parent and you listen to this show and you don't agree that it's your responsibility to keep track of your child and how much time they spend on your internet that you pay for. Well, we're going to agree to disagree. But yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. They are shooting themselves in their own foot.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything Jon just said there. And just to continue on a little bit toward the esports side of this as well, the Prophet or One True Prophet or Clue or whatever you want to call him over in OTN, kind of like what you said, AKA earlier in the show. So Clue is someone who brought up a good point, and it's kind of the point that I've been thinking about as well. What does this mean for the esports scene, like the LPL over there, the League of Legends scene in China? Because now players are not going to have that time to really grow as young players. They're not going to have the ability to, one, introduce themselves to the game because you're only getting a very slight amount of playtime here and there. So two, you're going to have a hard time improving, and you're not really going to be able to build those relationships in the game, whether it be actually getting to know characters or actually getting to know other players alongside you. So there's so many different things that this now introduces. Now, for the pro players, once you make it to that age of 18 or even close to 18, it becomes not an issue because there are certain write-offs and really exemptions, dispensations, however you want to look at it from the government. Because at that point, it is seen as a job. But the Youth Academy, it's a very interesting system. I know one of the things that currently goes on, at least with the past set of rules, is that a lot of people would buy adult accounts. So they'd have their uncle or some other adult that they could really purchase it online or whatever, which kids purchasing things online, that could be another question mark. But in the end, I don't know if this is accomplishing what people want it to. I think kids will find ways to bypass it. And I agree with Jon. I think this is the parents' responsibility, not the government's responsibility. So a lot of big question marks, a lot of gray areas with this one as well, but not a great move coming out from the Chinese government on many different aspects.
Two last funny points. Number one, rejoice, NA fans. We have a chance to beat the LPL in the future. Number two, NA org owners in the LCS that want to get rid of the import rule, they are so mad right now because the future players are not going to be able to train until they're 18. Congratulations. Joe, you want to know how Korea gets around this? Remember how I told you the internet is tied to essentially your social security number? Yeah, there you go. You can't buy adult accounts with a social security number. It doesn't work that way. Apparently, China hasn't figured that out yet, but they're just rather doing it this way, which is absolutely
hopefully they're not listeners to the show.
Hopefully not. hopefully the president or dictator of China is not listening right now. I believe they're still communist, right? I believe the government's still communist. No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into the political side of things.
I'm not.
I'm not 100% sure.
I
believe that's the case. But I honestly haven't
confirmed.
studied too much of Chinese government recently.
They are.
But I will tell you, I'm not a fan of their gaming policies, and that is what we talked about here today on the show. In the end, this is what's happening. Kids are going to find ways around it potentially. But again, for pipelines for esports, this is a big thing that could end up having a long-term impact. Over to some other gaming updates as we move our way down. Valorant has dropped a new map, fracturing the way into the hearts of the players potentially. And we do have a brief look here for our live listeners to check out as well. Valorant is a game, Jon, that you and I have not played too much of recently. We did play for quite a while. We got yelled at our aim. We've dove back in here and there, but in the end, we haven't put too much time into it. With that being said, this new map does look pretty fire.
Cass, I have to take all the Gamescom stuff off the screen because I still have failed to do that. Way to go, fiasco. Boom.
Nice little teaser coming out here. It's some nice animation, and then we do eventually get a nice little look at the map. Again, coming out, Fracture is the name of the map. We get some nice little highlights. They have their signature green boxes once again returning. But I do like the nice split in the map. It kind of gives a varied aspect, gives you some different terrains, and does allow the player to really understand the difference of one side of the map versus the other pretty cleanly on this one. So again, if you are into Valorant, I don't have the release date on this one, but again, the next map will be Fracture, and you just saw a look here on LvLUp. Next up in the news, in the gaming world, John, Halo Master Chief Collection Season 8 is on the way. It has continued to grow better and better from season to season, and this one is straight fire, in my humble opinion. We have Flood Firefight coming out. I love the idea of different zombie modes. Like, yes, zombies can be overdone in games, especially when it's a full zombie-based game, but we've seen Call of Duty do it well, Gears of War, Horde, all of these different type of zombie or horde-based modes are pretty cool. This one's the Flood, the original crazy zombie thing of the Halo franchise, making its way into a firefight mode. I think this is going to be so much fun. Grab a few friends, fight off the Flood, and have a good time. I love the idea of options, and I think this is a great one to really, for me at least, make firefight a more interesting mode. We also get a nice map, not quite as nice as Fracture, but Halo 2's turf map will be redone. It came from Halo Online as well. It will be coming to Halo 3 as Icebox, a completely new map to that game. We're getting a custom games browser as well. It already came to Halo Reach. It's seen tons of fun. People have made Among Us in Halo, which is pretty cool. We've seen all these other classic game modes like Jenga come on back. Jenga with a gravity hammer is so much fun. Some of the infected modes, all of that returning. Now it's coming over to Halo 3 and Halo CE as well. We have Steam account linking for people who have the game on Steam. You maybe want to unlock those Xbox achievements, or maybe just want to link their accounts, or whatever they want to do. Now that is an option. The PC file share your maps, share your files, share all of that goodness once again available. But John, we're going to save the best for last because we're not even touching on half the update. The update's giant. There is so much big stuff coming out. But if you click this little handy dandy link and give us a nice little screenshot here live for the viewers in chat, we have new Halo 3 Reach helmets. So Halo 3 and Reach helmets, armor and nameplates coming. Check out this helmet style, guys. This one, for the most part, it seems to be pulling in positive reviews from the Halo audience, but you do have people that are saying, hey, this is not lore-based. We are not a fan. In the Halo sense, they're being a lot more whiny about it, but that is coming out. Personally, I love the look of a lot of these helmets, and there is a key factor that no one is paying attention to. So that key factor, in quotes, a toggle specifically for Halo fans that don't want to see new content in Halo titles in order to preserve the classic experience as much as possible, is available. So if you do not want to see these new helmets, if you don't like any of the fancy stuff that has been added into your Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3 content, you could just say, hey, I want plain Jane. I want the way it looked originally. You can toggle that on and you're good to go. And I think it's going to be the same way with Infinite, if I'm being honest. You're going to get these fancier, crazier armors. And if you just want the classic look, you're going to be able to toggle it and you should be good to go. What are your thoughts on these helmets, John, though? So we dive into like more of a Centurion Roman / medieval type of feel here.
This is like the most gamer thing ever, right? We're going to put out new armor and cosmetics, which gamers absolutely love. Unless you're a Halo gamer, because you don't want that spoiling your game. So they have to make a toggle switch so you don't get triggered when you play Halo. Look, I'm all for developers listening to the gaming community, but for the love of God, this is ridiculous. Anywho, taking a look at some of these armor sets, yeah, they really have no place in Halo. Like, this dude on your screen right now looks like a Spartan, like the traditional Spartan, not your in-game Halo Spartan. Okay, fine, whatever. I see what you're doing with that. Then you have like this Aztec warrior kind of helmet style that you were pointing out, Joey, which I'm like, okay, look, that's cool. That's great. That's not going to survive in outer space, but fine, whatever. Put it in game. And then you have your Viking helmet? Like, what? I mean, your Diablo-based helmet with horns coming out the side of it? Yeah, that screams Halo also. This is my favorite one. The Tiger helmet, or what were we calling this? I'm not even going to try to say that. Yeah, cool, awesome. You know what? That looks great. Totally looks like you'll survive in outer space with that. Then you have what I'm going to call the Medusa helmet. The helmet that is literally snakes on snakes on snakes. No, Joey, this looks great. And if you don't like it, just toggle it off because you're too sensitive for new skins and cosmetics in Halo. It's okay. The developer is there for you. Then you have Tri-Face over here. You can't tell which way he's going to look. You don't know which way he's aiming. He's got 3 faces on his helmet. Makes a whole lot of sense. Then you have this guy, looks like he has a cheese grater on his face, or he's trying to rip off a Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, one of the two. And then you have this guy that's like a combination of that one dude that's like Praise the Sun, and then like I don't know what else is trying to go on here. Maybe he's a crusader or something. Who knows? Then you have this one. This one looks kind of cool. Can't tell if he's supposed to be a fish or a dragon, but it looks like he has the little gills on the side to make. Yes, he's got the gills. Yes, it's called the Forsaken Dragon, but it looks like he can swim underwater pretty good with that. Then you have the Plague Doctor because, you know, COVID's still a thing. I mean, why not wear that? It's probably in outer space.
That skin's going to be hella popular. Just wait, I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it seriously looks like a woodpecker more than anything else. I like this one. I mean, what else screams Halo than a gigantic emo gothic skull helmet in Halo with a hood? I mean, calling all edgelords, I found your skin. Pretty BA if you ask me. And then if you're royalty like Joey, you can get the skull face with a Forsaken crown, it looks like. This is their take on the Lich King, if you will. Then you have this dude that looks like a really bad ripoff of a Stormtrooper in game. It looks like he's trying to smile, like the Stormtrooper helmets have like a frown. This dude's at least trying to smile. At least he's trying to have a good day. So I'm not going to pick on him too much because he is trying to be happy. And then this dude, my man, if you think fur is controversial here in North America and around the world, fur is not controversial in outer space, apparently. That is Space Pygmy Goat he's currently wearing. That's a fun fact there, but you didn't know that. Same thing with the guy down here. I mean, just look at this. I mean, this is just... Joe, I can go on and on. Look at this. This guy even has like a little brush attached to his mouth there. Filters
I like the Loki one, I'm not going to lie. That one looks kind of cool.
Hold on. This one? Yeah, I mean...
I have a delay, but I think probably.
That is a lawsuit from Disney waiting to happen. is what we're going to call that helmet as well. Yeah, okay, cool. Congratulations, Halo fans. Your developer has toggled a switch for you, so you don't have to see these abominations in game.
So again, these are getting a lot of positive praise. I would say I'm seeing about 75% positive, maybe 25% negative. And I like the fact that toggle is available. If you want to play that classic style, you just want the normal Mark IV or whatever helmet, toggle it on, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. But as far as cosmetics, you look at games like Apex, you look at games like Fortnite. Why are they bringing in so many people? You can argue it's the game style, but a lot of people are going to argue it's the changing cosmetics. They're constantly getting new things. They're getting new styles. They're getting fresh takes. And this is what Halo's trying to do, and I actually like it. Now, do I think I'm going to equip one of these? Maybe. I personally prefer the normal style, but I like the fact they're going out there. They're giving me a reason to spend money on the game, whether it's something unique like this or maybe a line down the, or a helmet or whatever down the line. It is those unique takes that are not just a normal military-based helmet. I can only buy so many military-based helmets and be okay with it. This, to me, gives me a reason to maybe splash the cash a little bit more or to invest in the ecosystem further. Will I be? I'm not a big microtransaction guy, but I know a few people who might be willing to spend some more here and there based on these kind of cool armor sets. So I think it's definitely something to look into later down the line. And again, they've made it very clear that it is fractured. This is not lore-based armor. It is separate from that. So I like that. That is being very clearly stated to keep those people at really a kind of at bay in a sense of their craziness. But yeah, the toggle is in there, guys. The toggle is there if you don't want to see it.
See, here's my problem, okay? These other games that have cosmetics, they're not this absurd, okay? This is a space-based game, okay? That would be like Age of Empires. You're playing as, let's say, the Holy Roman Empire, and you can buy a skin set that makes them look like outer space, like juggernauts that are trying to like raffle stomp somebody via galactic rays. It just doesn't make sense.
Keep in mind, though, Age of Empires, I think it was 2, you had that one cheat code that gave you a car with a machine gun in the front
code
of it.
It was a cheat code, and yes, I did use it, but that's neither here nor there, okay? That's... How dare you? I should not have used Age of Empires. All I'm trying to say is this is like playing Microsoft Flight Simulator and them giving you a truck skin for a Boeing 747. It doesn't.
Skin.
Yes, that's how random this is. Like, if this was a medieval game where skulls and horns were a thing, then fine. Like, it makes sense. I get that you're coming out and saying, hey, look, it's not lore based, but you put this out here. The first thing it says to me is, oh, microtransactions work. We're going to put this out there because we know people are going to buy it. And then there's people like me who are self-proclaimed microtransactions, insert your expletive here. Oh, we're going to buy it. I look at that. I'm like, okay, yeah, they look cool, but they don't really have a place in the game. It's not like Fortnite partnering with NBA and like you can put an NBA jersey on and it's completely fine. Like, there really is no lore in Fortnite, believe it or not. They try to create a story every season and it's really just blah. But other than that, like, this would be like Mario getting a Metal Gear Solid skin. It just makes no sense. I
mean, technically in Super Smash Brothers, he can turn all the way metal. So we kind of have a little bit of a crossover. Either way, I'll break down Jon's comparisons or not. But either way, guys, whether you're fans of the new skins, whether you're non-fans, whether you want to check out future stuff or not, you will have that toggle available, at least in MCC. Again, I think this is a preview of some of the stuff we will see come Infinite, though. So you might be using your toggle over there. Maybe you won't. You'll have a few different options available, though. Over to Bethesda Game Studios, we got a brief look at 3 Starfield locations. Live listeners, you get to see them here as well. Neon, a fishing platform turned pleasure hub after the discovery of a fishy drug, Aurora, which is now legal to be sold on Neon. Take a look at the first map, the first location we see of Starfield.
Can we not call it a pleasure drug? Like, just
a pleasure hub and a fishy drug.
Pleasure. Oh, pardon me. I thought you said pleasure drug, and I was like, hey-oh.
Yeah, it reminds me of like, it's kind of got that Jar Jar Binks feel to it, just on stilts. Kind of like if they slammed Jar Jar Binks' home world in with like Camino and kind of combined them together, and then inside decided to throw a little bit of some space Las Vegas going on. That's kind of what I'm feeling here.
Joey, as much as that comparison disgusts me, I feel like it's spot on. I feel like it honestly is the most accurate way to describe that horrific comparison you just gave.
But the city looks cool. I am definitely going to check out Neon. And the other one checking out, Jon, is New Atlantis. This is a spaceport city in the capital of the United Colonies, the most powerful established military and political faction in the game. This city is a melting pot of people, as they describe it.
Yeah, it looks kind of cool. Reminds me of Drome and Cass from Star Wars: The Old Republic a little bit, with just like how kind of structured it is and everything, and futuristic. I mean, obviously it's missing the key element of Sith Lords, but it's neither here nor there.
Well, yeah. For all we know, we don't know what's going to be involved.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I think it's a very standard and typical kind of city that we would expect out of this game.
Yeah, from the way they describe it, and just to kind of stick with the Star Wars comparison here, I feel like it's kind of Coruscant-y. Yeah. Like, it kind of, if talking about a melting pot of people, you obviously have the Galactic Republic going on there for Star Wars fans. A lot of the environment looks similar. So I definitely get that kind of Coruscant feel from that one. This next one, a little bit more unique, though. I believe it's going to be pronounced Aquila or Aquila. This is the capital city of the Freestar Collective, a loose confederation of 3 distinct star systems. The city is walled with deadly Ashta alien predators that are a cross between a wolf and a velociraptor outside the walls.
Joey, I like to describe this one as George Lucas is calling, because this is Tatooine. This looks just like Tatooine. It drives me up a wall. If you go back and watch episode 4 when they're going to the spaceport, that's exactly what this looks like. 100%. Maybe stuck between an ice mountain. Tatooine doesn't have that. Definitely not. They're currently stuck in a heat wave constantly. But other than that, the first time I saw this, I was like, that's Tatooine. That's 100% Tatooine. And I do not see this going over well with Disney.
So I don't get Tatooine at all from it, to be honest. I get, and this is going to be super weird, and I don't know if anyone's going to get the comparison, but it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or 3. There was a DLC pack with one of these maps that was meant for 2v2 and 3v3 play. This is exactly what it looks like. The building's exactly the same. The netting exactly the same. It's not as much sand as like a dirty type of clay style. It's in the mountains. It is literally that same style of map, in my humble opinion. But yeah, that's the big thing for me not making it Tatooine. It doesn't look as sandy to me as it does kind of like dirty clay, and it looks a little bit more mountainous.
Oh, it's not full of sand. It's more dirty than that. It's filthy.
Okay, I'm gonna send a wolf slash velociraptor thing outside the walls after you, so you better check yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining what that looks like. By the way, I'm imagining like this hairy reptilian looking crazy thing.
Joey, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's no match for my pod racer. I'll get away. It's fine.
Well, we're gonna play Twitch plays Starfield with Jon, and we're gonna talk him into going outside the wall unarmored. But we'll see what happens. If you guys want to keep an eye on that, we'll probably have more Starfield information as the year goes on. I hope we get to see some more looks at cities, creatures, and all of that goodness. Elden Ring we'll touch on slightly. Jon and I are both not really big Dark Souls players, but for those who are, we're going to touch on a couple new details there coming out in multiple posts. I believe it was Friday of last week. There's going to be fast travel from almost anywhere. That's a big improvement to my knowledge in those games. I don't think that was as easy in the Dark Souls games. You're going to have multiple paths and endings filled with plenty of lore. Again, kind of built upon that George R.R. Martin take that we saw with Game of Thrones. There's going to be a little bit of a variation in possible endings, kind of with their rich storytelling. Some people argue is rich, some people argue is not, depending on who you talk to. A number of optional encounters will also be available, so you don't have to encounter every single thing. There will be choices along the way, and there will also be large legacy dungeons mixed into. Some upcoming details. DC Fandome fans, live stream plan for October 16th. For those who want to look into the newest things coming out of DC Comics, for those that want to look into these games that seem to be absent from multiple showcases so far this year, they will feature exclusive looks at the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game by Rocksteady Games, as well as the new Gotham Knights game coming out of Warner Brother Games Montreal. Both will be in attendance. Both will be shown on October 16th. PS Plus gamers, September is on the way, and you get some new free games coming your way as well. Don't cook it too long because it'll become Overcooked, and you can get that as a PS5 owner. Overcooked, all you can eat, coming out in your PS Plus games for September, as well as a couple PS4 games. You have Hitman 2 and Predator Hunting Grounds.
I'm gonna overcook
sorry,
you,
guys.
Joey.
I almost lost it there when I saw Jon's face.
I'm gonna overcook you, Joey. I swear.
I am going to be overcooked, ladies and gentlemen. And then last but not least, in the upcoming, we also have Xbox. They've announced the next set of games coming to Game Pass. We're not going to list them all on the show. Go check them out. Over the next 2 weeks, you get at least 8 additional titles coming your way if you are a Game Pass subscriber. Okay, we've overcooked our way through quite a bit of news today, Jon. But we do have a little bit more esports to touch on before we end today's show. Riot Games, they have revealed that the first League of Legends Wild Rift Origin Series Championship, that is a mouthful, will be held in Stockholm, Sweden, with a 300,000 euro prize pool. It's going to be September 24th through the 26th. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is the location that just denied Dota 2 from having their tournament. So it's a little awkward to say, hey, International, you've tried multiple times to be hosted here, and we're just going to say no. But hey, Riot Games calls, we got a deal. And they go ahead and slide in the new mobile game Wild Rift right in here toward the end of September with a nice sizable prize pool to get things started.
It's just easier to socially distance a mobile game than it is a PC-based game like Dota. So it's completely understandable. It makes 100% sense.
100% sense, according to Jon. So that's what you have.
Sarcasm.
Then we have Halo. I know it's sarcasm. We're full of sarcasm here on the show. This thing we're not sarcastic about. Jon probably will be in some way or another. But we have the Halo Championship Series. Halo Esports is back, and it has got some new fire behind it. They've announced 9 partner teams for the launch of Halo Infinite. Let's run this nice little trailer, Jon, because this to me, and you can maybe tear it apart, I think this is one of the cleanest team reveals that I have seen in esports, and I love the way they did this.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The video's great. I just wish they had more than one major esport org in here holding this league together. Looking at this announcement, like, I'm glad Cloud9's in there, but like, I feel like all the pressure is on them to carry the legitimacy of this league. I mean, look at that. Who's Fnatic? Like, it's not even how you spell it. This like FN. Like, what in the world? I think you have some other small teams in here, like this Envy, Space Station. I've never heard of this FiEye's gaming. I've never heard of any of this stuff. Cloud9's carrying this league to legitimacy, Joey.
Esports show, by the way, guys. We can't pronounce half the teams. But yes, this is
on
that
purpose.
Beautiful drip of sarcasm that Jon has brought to the show tonight and always. So yes, Halo Infinite Esports is back. It's never really gone away, except in the minds of most people over the age of 25. It seemed to die out after Halo 3, and now it looks like it could make a return here. John, these are some big orgs. Cloud9, Envy, eUnited, FaZe, Fnatic, G2 Esports, Navi, Sentinel, Space Station. To my knowledge, and I could be wrong, I believe this is the biggest presence we've ever seen from EU organizations in the Halo esports scene. Sure, some of them, like Fnatic, I think had a team in the past, but in recent years and really in the last decade, this is the biggest presence. And these organizations are so much bigger than they were back then as well. So you're having 3 top 5 EU orgs in Fnatic, G2, and Navi. You're looking at probably 4 to 6 different top NA orgs as well. FaZe, Cloud9, Envy. This is a big statement coming out from Halo esports.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's some major names in this announcement, and I think that's what they really need. A lot of organizations will dip their toes into a new league or into a new title, but they don't really want to overly commit because they just don't know how that new league is going to be handled, how it's going to be received. With Halo, the Halo community is massive. It spans multiple generations. There is a want for new Halo esports. So I feel like for a lot of these organizations, it's a risk worth taking, but it's a risk that I feel like has a very low side. It's not going to hurt their brand. It's not going to hurt anything if this league, for whatever reason, is not successful because it's attached to Halo. If it's not like an Apex that popped out of nowhere. And then you're like, okay, well, will my favorite esports organization jump into this or not? We don't know because there's no esports scene, so on and so forth. I feel like they're doing it right this time. I feel like the way it's being structured, the way it's being announced, the way it's being organized is all reasons why we see big names like a FaZe, like a Cloud9, like a Fnatic, like a G2, like a Navi, all being involved in the initial launch of this league. I think that's a huge statement of and a huge stamp of approval for how these organizations see this league potentially going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very curious to see what else we get. I know there's going to be some skins available for partners day 1. So on launch day, December 8th, there will be some nice partner skins in there, as well as some, I believe, revenue sharing involved, which we'll get detailed a bit later on. John, the NBA2K Finals are also this weekend, and our very own Wizards District Gaming are in them. Give us a little preview of what's to come this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday, September 4th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, a best-of-5 series between the number 1 overall seed, Wizards District Gaming, with a 22-6 record, the best record in the 2K League in the regular season. I'm not going to say they cruised to the finals, but, I mean, I'll be honest, there's not a lot of really good teams in the East that could really stop them. They went up against Knicks Gaming, beat them 2-0, went up against Nets Gaming, and that was an absolute throttling of Nets Gaming. I believe game 2 was 109-69. It wasn't even freaking close. A 40-point win, punches their ticket. So just real quick, because not just because it's WizDG or anything like that, WizDG is the first team to ever win a championship, make it back to the playoffs the very next year. They're the first team to ever make it to the finals and make it back to the finals the very next year. And on this Saturday, they have the chance to be the first team in league history to go back-to-back. Really, really cool. On the flip side, Jazz Gaming got off to a slow start this year. They made a big trade in the middle of the season. They got Lottie back in a trade with the Bucks. He was originally on the Jazz the year prior. So they have their original 6 players from the year before when they played incredibly well. They went on a hot run at the end of this regular season. They continued that hot run in the postseason. They had a tough series against Warriors Gaming. They ended up beating them in 3 games, 2-1, punching their ticket. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. Splashy is a very good player. He's the 3rd highest scoring player in points per game in the league. So that will definitely be a challenge for JBM and the rest of WizDG in that finals. But it's going to be very, very exciting.
Absolutely. So big stuff to look forward to there. John and I obviously rooting on WizDG this weekend. Bring home that 2nd championship in a row for the local boys here in the DMV, the 202, the DMV region of esports. Want a ring.
I want the ring.
So big stuff coming out there. Hopefully they do well this weekend to represent. Then over in Overwatch League, we're heading into the play-ins where we do have another DC team making some noise in the Washington Justice. They'll be taking on the Paris Eternal. We also have the Boston Uprising taking on the Toronto Defiant. the Hangzhou Spark up against the Philadelphia Fusion, and a number of other matches, depending how everything ends up playing out. Should be some exciting stuff, guys. That kicks off on Saturday, September 4th, if you're interested. And I believe it runs all the way through, yes, Sunday evening. So Saturday and Sunday will be all those playing matches to get us set for that final bracket of what the playoffs for Overwatch League will look like this year. Last but not least, over to some League of Legends esports. We have the LEC finals. They have wrapped up. And John, they really weren't that close. Fnatic ended up losing that one to a very strong Mad Lions team. Mad Lions taking the win 3-1. Over in the LCS, not too much better. In fact, even worse, as we see 100 Thieves absolutely dominate Team Liquid in a 3-0 series. So not the most exciting of series to watch. The Fnatic Mad Lions one, I feel like, had a couple more back and forth fights here and there. Some things were kind of on the edge where it could have gone either way in certain situations, but given one way over another, in most cases, Mad Lions finding the advantages they needed to close that series out, and 100 Thieves just looking like absolute monsters.
Yeah, how about 100 Thieves, right? They lose to Team Liquid in the upper bracket finals 3-2, a very close series. They drop down to the lower bracket. We're not going to talk about the teams they beat because I don't feel like that's important. They make their way all the way back to the finals to face Team Liquid, and then they absolutely just raffle stomp the crap out of them. 3-0. Wasn't even close. Joey, even though I'm a Cloud9 fan, even though they technically lost to 100 Thieves, I'm very happy that Team Liquid did not win. 100 Thieves, I think, is well deserving of it. They have some great players on there. Super excited for 100 Thieves to win. I believe this is their first LCS title. So that is really, really cool for them. And yeah, can't wait to see how they perform in Worlds.
Absolutely. So setting up for Worlds for the LEC, that is going to be Fnatic as the number 2 seed, Rogue as the number 3 seed, and Mad Lions with that number 1 seed. For the LCS, I believe it is 100 Thieves in first, TL for Team Liquid in second, and then Cloud9 wrapping things up in third. Last but not least, some Worlds updates. Worlds is moving from China because of everything going on with COVID-19. There have been some issues trying to get visas as well as travel within the country of China itself. So they said, hey, we're going to make it move to somewhere that's a little bit easier to navigate at the moment, and that ended up being Europe. So Worlds will be held in Reykjavik, Iceland, following Riot confirming that the event would be moved from China to Europe. I don't believe Reykjavik has been officially confirmed yet. I could be wrong on that, but I believe this is coming out from Jacob Wolf, who is just about as reliable as Riot Games itself. So keep that in mind as we do look for that event to move to Europe. I think that just about does it, John. We covered a lot, and we did pretty well time-wise. About an hour, a little under an hour and 15 here on today's show. Lots of gaming news, lots of esports news, lots of good stuff ahead as we continue to get some fun stuff coming out later as the month progresses, as well as some fun OTN announcements to make later on this month as well. But for now, I think that does it for LvLUp Live tonight on this Wednesday.
Oh boy, Joey, just in time for my flight to leave. I like it. Nation, that is going to do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content and some new content that's coming right around the corner that nobody else in the world can get unless they're a part of OTN Media. If you have not already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch. Maybe toss us a sub here or there. Maybe use that Amazon Prime sub as well. That is the best way to watch the show. If you can't watch the show live, we do have the podcast version as well. It's available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you, so make sure you do reach out. Joey, what are some of those ways that the community can reach out to us?
Absolutely. LvLUp Nation. Find us here on Twitter at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, the umbrella company OTN Media can be found on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media, as well as on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/OTN Media. We stream regularly. Go DC for the Game on DC fans here. Monday nights at 8 p.m., LvLUp Live, typically Thursdays at 8 p.m., as well as a various number of other streams throughout the week.
Yeah, it's very important you follow on social media for whenever we do throw that curveball and we switch the nights for LvLUp. But that will do it. Make sure you tune in this next Thursday. That is the 9th of September as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing and listening pleasures. We'll catch you all on Thursday. Have a fantastic weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And Joey, as always,
Level up.